Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. If you live in Central Texas, or, even if you've just been paying attention to the news lately, you absolutely know that Austin is transforming right before our eyes. Well, today we're unpacking exactly how Delta Airlines is, quite frankly, throwing jet fuel onto that transformation. We aren't just talking about a couple of new domestic flights here. We are looking at a literally massive shift in international connectivity and a really deep investment in the region. So let's jump right into Delta's Austin expansion, the Paris connection, and beyond. Okay, let's dive into this, because this number right here, it is the absolute headline. First, starting on March 27, 2027, Delta is officially launching the first ever nonstop service from Austin to Europe, operated by a U.S. airline. I mean, just pause and think about that for a second. For years, Austin travelers looking across the Atlantic on a domestic carrier have always had to connect. You're going through Atlanta, New York, Detroit, you name it. Well, not anymore. This is a total watershed moment for the city's aviation history, and it completely redefines how Central Texans are going to access the globe. And where exactly are we flying? Right to the absolute heart of it all. Austin to Paris-Charles de Gaulle. Honestly, just seeing those two airport codes next to each other on a direct route is so exciting. Imagine just bypassing all those frantic, stressful domestic layovers. You just step right off your plane and boom, you're experiencing the sensory romance of Paris. We're talking strolling along the Seine, taking in that amazing architecture, sitting down for world-class cuisine. The hard fact here is that starting in that peak summer season, Austin flyers are finally going to have direct, daily access to the City of Light. But I do want to make something very clear here. This is definitely not just some random route drawn on a map because it sounds cool. Look at this quote from Delta's Executive Vice President Joe Esposito. It shows this as a highly calculated business move. He calls it a defining milestone, right? But then he immediately follows up by saying it's just one part of our broader investment in the region. So this really tells us that Delta is treating Austin not just as, a spoke in their wheel, but as a crucial, major node in their global network. So if this is the milestone, how are passengers actually going to get there?
The flight experience aboard the Airbus A330-900neo.
So to make a flagship international connection like this work, you need a flagship vessel. And Delta's Airbus A330-900neo is definitely not just a one-size-fits-all tube. They are offering 4 very distinct seat products on this route. You've got Delta One, Delta Premium Select, Delta Comfort Plus, and Delta Main. And why do this matter so much? Because it means there's a totally customized experience for literally every type of traveler. Whether you're a tech executive heading out to a conference, maybe a couple on a honeymoon, or a family taking a big summer vacation, there's a tailored cabin option waiting for you. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between those premium offerings. Let's look at Delta One compared to Delta Premium Select. If you book Delta One, you are getting the absolute ultimate in luxury. We're talking fully lie-flat seats, plush luxury bedding, your own privacy doors, so you basically have a personal suite in the sky, and chef-curated meals. On the flip side, if you want some enhanced space, but maybe don't need the full private suite, Delta Premium Select gives you wider seats and a lot of extra legroom. It's a really brilliant way to segment the cabin to meet different expectations of comfort and, of course, price. But hey, even if you are flying in Delta Main or Comfort Plus, the baseline perks are still really elevated here. We are talking memory foam cushions, which is a game changer for long-haul comfort, and personalized entertainment screens loaded up with over 1,000 hours of content. You are definitely not running out of movies on a flight to France. And actually, here's a pretty surprising fact tucked into this whole expansion. This specific aircraft boasts increased cargo capacity. So this isn't just about moving tourists. It's really about meeting the rising commercial and freight demand between Europe and the booming Texas economy. The global gateway beyond the City of Light. You see, Paris isn't just a final destination here. It's a massive, highly strategic launchpad for global connectivity. And the absolute crucial point is this number right here, 70. Through Delta's joint venture partnership with Air France-KLM and Virgin Atlantic, landing in Paris unlocks one-stop access to nearly 70 different destinations. We're talking seamless connections all across Europe, India, and Africa. In fact, to put the scale in perspective, during the peak summer season, Delta, Air France, and KLM will offer up to 10 weekly nonstop flights between Austin and Europe, hitting both Paris and Amsterdam. You really aren't just buying a ticket to France. You are literally buying a ticket to the rest of the world. And the city of Austin knows exactly what this means for their long-term trajectory. Just look at this quote from Austin Mayor Kirk Watson. He notes that the two cities are united by culture and creativity, but the real key takeaway is right there at the end. This route is helping our city shine on the global stage. This completely validates the why behind the expansion.
City leadership clearly sees that Austin is way past just being a quirky regional capital. It has truly emerged as a global hub, and Delta is supplying the heavy infrastructure to back that status up.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Expanding the domestic network. More ways to explore. So while the Paris route is for sure the glittering centerpiece, it's actually just one piece of a much larger interconnected web. Delta is simultaneously supercharging its domestic network out of Austin too. Let's walk through this rapid-fire domestic route timeline. In October 2026, Delta launches service to San Jose. Then, boom, the monumental Paris launch hits in March 2027. Right on the heels of that, in April 2027, they're launching a brand new daily nonstop to San Diego, while adding a second daily frequency to San Jose. These domestic flights are operating on the Airbus A319. Do you see the strategy here? Delta is aggressively connecting Austin to vital tech hubs like Silicon Valley and vibrant coastal spots in California. Oh, and it is not just business and tech routes either. Delta is also extending its popular Austin to Cancun service. Previously, this was just kind of a winter escape, but now this route is going year-round. This is going to give Austin flyers uninterrupted, nonstop access to one of Mexico's most popular vacation destinations. Whether you need a winter getaway or a summer beach trip, it's covered. It's all about giving maximum flexibility to the Central Texas traveler. Deepening roots in Austin, the ground game. All right, we've talked about the destinations, the airplanes, and the schedules, but we really need to consider the sheer physical investment required on the ground to actually support all these new flights. You can't just drop a massive A330 into an airport without an equally massive ground game. And this brilliantly illustrates the scale of that investment. We are talking about more than 900 Delta employees based right in the area. They recently opened a base for over 100 flight attendants alone. For the passengers, there's already an active Sky Club with plans for a second, much larger one as the airport expands. But honestly, the real jaw-dropper is right at the bottom. Delta is planning future operations across 15 gates in Austin-Bergstrom's planned Concourse A. These dense numbers prove one thing undeniably. Delta isn't just flying through Central Texas, they are planting deep, permanent roots. Which brings us to the ultimate question. By summer 2027, Delta is going to serve roughly 30 destinations from Austin and operate more than 70 peak day departures. They've got the gates, they've got the crew, the planes, and now they have the non-stop link to Europe. The momentum of Austin's growth is just truly staggering when you look at it all laid out. So with Paris officially on the board, where in the world will Austin fly next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, everyone. Keep your eyes on the skies, and I'll catch you next time.